Hi there, and welcome back to our study of real numbers in Math 0300. This time we are going to take a look at rounding decimals. I know many of you work in different fields, whether you are a cashier or you are a tradesperson, you work with decimals frequently, and so we need to be able to round them with accuracy to keep life moving. Now, I have done one thing before we get started. I snagged the place value chart from the last lesson so that I can refer back to it when we talk about rounding. So you may want to pull that over to the side, make sure you have it handy so you can refer back to when you need it. So let's take a look at how to correctly round a number. I'm a steps girl, again, so we're going to go through step by step. The first thing we are going to do to correctly round a number is to circle the number or the place value that we want to round. And because place value is involved, that's why I pulled over my place value chart. Once we have circled the number we want to look at the digit to the right. Just one next door neighbor to the right. We have two things that could happen. The first thing that could happen is that number could be greater than or equal to 5. If that happens to be the case, we are going to add 1 to the circled number. The other option, the other potential outcome is that that digit could be less than 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. If that happens, you leave the circle number alone. Now, the question I get asked the most is, what do I do with the rest of the numbers? There were numbers behind the one I was supposed to round. What happens to them? So if you are rounding on the left side of the decimal, you make everything between the rounded digit and the decimal a 0. And I know that's probably not very clear, but I think it'll make more sense when we jump in and actually do it. If you're rounding on the right side of the decimal, drop the digits to the right of the rounded one. You don't have to worry about them. You just do like Elsa and let them go. So we're going to try it. We want to round 0.43 to the nearest whole number. The nearest whole number is math speak for round to the ones place. If you need to check, come up here to your place value chart. The ones place is right here. It's one spot to the left of the decimal. So we're gonna circle the one we want. I'm gonna put it in a color so it stands out. We want to round to the nearest whole number. So we circle the one we want to round, and then we look at one next door neighbor to the right. Now we know that 4 is less than 5. So remember, if the digit is less than 5, leave the circled number alone. So we are going to leave the 0 just like it is. Now we have to see what we do to the stuff in the back. We rounded that 0. We are going to make everything behind it do like Elsa and let it go. So when we round this guy, we are going to end up with 0. Think about it in terms of money. If you look at this as 43 cents, 43 cents is closer to $0 than it is to $1. So we rounded to $0. This time we want to round 7.46 to the nearest tenth. So if you go and look at your chart, the tenths place is that 4. We're going to go next door and look at the 6. We know that 6 is greater than or equal to 5. Because it's greater than or equal to 5, we add 1 to the 4. We round it up to a 5. We make the things to the right a 0. So this would become 7.50. If you drop off the 0, it's totally fine. If we were in a physics or a chemistry class, that 0 would be very important. But for our purposes, 7.50 or 7.5, totally fine. The thousandths place. If you refer to your chart, this 3 is in the thousandth place. The 2 is the tenths place. The 8 is in the hundredths place. So the 3 is in the thousandths place. That means we're going to take a look at the 6. Remember, 5 is our cutoff. And we know 6 is greater than or equal to 5. So we're going to round 3 up to 4 and drop off the 6. So this becomes 9.284. number 4, we want to round to the hundredths place. The hundredths place is the second place behind the decimal. Again, we're going to take a look at the 6. 6 is still greater than or equal to 5. It hasn't changed since the last problem. So this one is a little tricky. We're going to add 1 to the 9. We're going to 9 the round up 1. But Ms. Grimm, that makes it a 10. How do I put a 10 in there? Well, when we do that, that's going to change my 8. So I'm going to write out what that'll look like. If I make the 9 a 10, I can't put a 10 in that spot. I can keep the 0 and add the 9 in the 10th spot. This time, that 0 is important because we're rounding to the hundredths place. So you have to have a number in the hundredths place. That's why I'm keeping the 0 on this one. For 5, we're rounding to the hundreds place. So we are back on the left side of the decimal. The 4 is in the hundreds place. So we look at the 9. 9 is definitely greater than or equal to 5. So we're going to round the 9 up to a 10. That's going to change our 1 to a 5. And everything else becomes a 0 because of this happy little rule right here. We round on the left side of the decimal, make everything behind the digit and the decimal a 0. This time we're rounding to the nearest whole number. So that means we want to look at the 5. Now remember, the cutoff is greater than or equal to 5. This guy is equal to 5. So that means we round the 9, or we round the 8 up to a 9 and make everything else a 0. And I've got money on the brain. You do not have to include that. If you left this, since it says the nearest whole number, as just 9, that's totally fine. If we look at this one with the thousands place, we have 4,321.9. Thousands place is the 4. This time, that 3 is definitely less than 5. We don't change anything. All we're going to do is make these zeros. We are not going to change that 4 at all. So we just have 4,000. For the last one, we want the tens place. Remember, if it's tens with the S on the end, or hundreds with the S on the end, we are working on the left side of the decimal. So this is the ones place. The 3 is in the tens place. So I'm going to look at the 7. 7 is greater than or equal to 5. So I'm going to round the 3 up. So this would be 9,640 if I round it to the tens place. That is a quick refresher on how to round correctly. I will catch you in the next video.